I think this is an important staging act by three of the most important leaders in Europe, within the European Union, Germany and France, which are seen as like the major motors within the EU, plus Poland, which is on the front when in the situation concerning Ukraine and Russia. So a unified, united message coming out. And I think basically Emmanuel Macron summed it up when he said what they were working towards was to avoid war. That's the first point. They all agree on. That is the most important thing. Secondly, to consolidate and defend the unity of Europe and its allies. Third point, defend the principles which have led to the creation of Europe and the European Union, and defend those countries which are also in Europe but not members of the European Union. And maybe also, very importantly, find ways of discussing, dialoguing with Russia to reach an agreement and a way out of this current standoff. But Emmanuel Macron underlining several times that they're in a difficult position when it comes to trying to negotiate this, because Russia has built up this huge force on the border with Ukraine, putting the pressure on Europe to really give in to what it wants. The term Finlandization has been used, which is a term that was used during the Cold War when Finland sort of obeyed what the Soviet Union wanted, even though it was an independent state, because it didn't want to risk having any problems with it. And I think that's something that the three leaders there are keen to stress. They do not want to be in that situation. But the bottom line is they're not completely united in what brings them together. Germany, the new German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, has been criticised for not playing a more active role in the Ukraine crisis. He has been to Washington to see the US President Joe Biden. And as far as Andrzej Duda, the Polish president, and Emmanuel Macron, the French president, are concerned, they don't always see eye to eye also on the tactics that should be used face to face with Vladimir Putin. I think Poland sees Vladimir Putin as much more of a threat, warning France that they shouldn't go easy with him, and that NATO is not a threat to Russia, which is something that Vladimir Putin has said all the way down the line, and he shouldn't give in to Vladimir Putin too easily, because that would be a bad sign for Poland and for Romania and other former Soviet states. So that there is a show of unity here, but I think there are also cracks in there. But I think this was a necessary manoeuvre today, a necessary move following these discussions yesterday between Emmanuel Macron and Vladimir Putin, and then earlier today between Volodymyr Zelensky and Vladimir Putin in Ukraine.
Okay, and what do we think President Putin's next moves might be then, Philip?
Well, I think what Emmanuel Macron seems to think is that the most important thing here is to get the Minsk protocol up and running again, and to make sure that that is respected. During that press conference yesterday with Vladimir Putin, the Russian president said that he blamed Ukraine, saying that Ukraine had never respected the Minsk protocol after it was signed in 2014. And every time there had been an agreement, that it hadn't been respected. And I think that the first step forward is, as far as Emmanuel Macron is concerned, to get that protocol up and running and to get respected, and to make sure it holds and that the ceasefire is not broken. And the second point is to go back to the negotiating table with all the problems concerning what he said is a misconception, a misunderstanding between the Russian point of view and the European Union point of view, and other countries which are neither part of Russia nor part of the European Union but are European, like Moldova, like Ukraine, for example, like Georgia. All their interests should be taken into account, and there should be a big discussion to take place to try to work out some kind of working relationship with Russia that will move this whole process forward. The question that no one can answer, and it was asked to Vladimir Putin yesterday, is he planning to invade Ukraine? Vladimir Putin said he didn't want to do it, but he did say something which was quite alarming and quite aggressive during that press conference with Emmanuel Macron. And that was that if NATO were to be taken in, or if Ukraine were to join NATO, and then NATO and Ukraine tried to take back Crimea, then he would have no problem in sending in a nuclear weapon, saying that the West wouldn't even have time to blink before that nuclear weapon went off, but that he didn't want to do that. But really what Vladimir Putin wants is for NATO not to be involved in any former Soviet states. That is, I think, a no-go discussion point between the European Union, between Emmanuel Macron, the United States and Russia. So we still haven't solved this great problem. It's a little bit of an ongoing negotiation. And I think Emmanuel Macron thinks that the first step is getting the Minsk protocol back on track, and then we can work towards other ways of trying to defuse this crisis and to de-escalate this build-up of troops.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed. International Affairs Editor Philip Tell, thank you.